Where'd you? Oh, there we go. Oh, okay.
And it looks like we're live-ish. Hold on. Yes, there we are. Perfect.
Huzzah!
Huzzah indeed. Yes, there we go. And we're about a 6 to 7 second delay at this point, which is to be
Yeah, it's
expected, I
normal.
guess.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's a trick that I see some streamers do where they will live stream their stream for a good 10-15 minutes before they go live. And
Oh,
apparently that cuts down on the lead time between the clap and when the people on the other end of the stream receive it. So, yeah, that was about 7 seconds right there.
interesting.
Yeah. Whereas they can get their stream down to a lot faster.
Wow.
Now, a lot of that has to do with like the quality of your internet and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, okay. Thank you for hanging out with me.
Hey, thanks
Talking
for making
about
the time.
the idea. Yeah. Um, well, golly, and really, thank you for making the time because none of us are getting paid for this at this particular point. Um, and the idea and the goal is to get everything to the point where it can pay us really.
Right? Yeah.
And to do that, we need to make money. And to make the money, we need to somehow come up with ideas for how we're going to do that.
Hmm.
And it's one part we need to have that idea. It's another part we need to have an organizational structure behind that idea, which I think is coming together with the VAWMA idea. So like you got I've been reflecting on uh, where things went. So maybe we should start before we get into visioning for the future. Maybe we should just do a little recap of the VAMA events. Do a little what was it? A debrief.
Yeah.
Look for what was successful, what we could have done better,
Yeah, for sure.
and so uh, I guess to lay a foundation, my whole point of starting this there were three different goals, I guess you could say, or different tiers of goals. I say three. There might be more. There might be less. But the ultimate goal was to get enough people in the community coming out to it to get enough forward momentum that we would just continue the meetings the following Monday and get into the mutual aid slash business development meetings
Hmm.
afterwards. That didn't happen, but that's okay. That wasn't the only goal. The other goal was to get the idea out there, which was successful. The idea also, one of the goals was to get the idea to new people, strangers, people I don't know, and people I've never
Yeah.
met before, and that was successful. Also, the goal of expanding expertise, getting more people in on the uh, that have experience in things like committees or democratic organizations or corporations or run businesses before themselves or have been a part of that sort of thing. Uh, the more of those people we get, the more input that they provide, the more realistic our dreams and this whole thing becomes.
Hmm.
So to that end, it was a wild success. We had uh, some good stuff there, and I guess my third goal was to get some input from content creators and people in the industry that could speak to the VAMA idea and perhaps give direction and critique on the idea so that we could maybe figure it out a little bit more.
Hmm.
And to that, those goals were all met and I think succeeded. Great, with great success. We lost the Q&A with John Rastakis, which I miss. Um, we had audio issues with the third one. Um, we we had fun times with the second one as well. That we almost didn't we missed some of the audio on our end
Mm-hmm.
for that. So, but I think after we found and landed on Jitsi, I think that was definitely the like that one-stop shop that kind of takes care of all the fiddly little bits that we were doing manually in OBS.
Yes.
Jitsi just takes care of,
Yeah.
and so I think that was great. If only we can get rid of that watermark. Oh well.
I think that's just going to be coming free with Jitsi. So.
Yep. Yeah. And but if we ever got to the point where we were what is it? Successful, like
Yeah.
we got off the ground and we needed to get a platform because it's open source, or we could go to them and say, hey, we'd like to license your software, and we'd like to, but at that point we would have money to be able to play and say, hey, we've got money, we'll make it worth your while to make something that works for us, sort of
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And they do advertise a very intriguing 8x8 product on their website that I didn't have time to wrap my brain around, so I have no idea what it is. So maybe that is their solution, their enterprise solution, sort of thing, or whatever that means. Yeah. Okay, so those are my observations for in brief. I'd be curious to know what your observations were for the events.
I think the first event went really well considering it was our first event. There was a pretty large turnout. There was the in-person version of it, I think, was very creative, and we had a lot of feedback and we had a lot of good discussion. The online side of things, I wasn't really able to really check things out, only because I was obviously at the event in person.
Right.
The second event in person, I was wondering if people were kind of like, oh, well, I went last week and it's going to be the same thing, or it's going to be live streamed, so I'm just going to catch it at home, or maybe they only have one Monday available. I was starting to wonder if the time frame that we used was questionable.
Sure. I can see that.
Yeah.
And probably to speak to that, why most conferences are held over like a 3-day weekend as opposed to like
yeah, or even just a once a month, is because people might only have access to a once a month night off, if you will.
Gotcha.
I think from the technical side of things, I think we really nailed down episode 4, only because we realized that we were trying to do too much on a wireless base. Because that was the one thing I did notice, is that the Wi-Fi would tank at the same time every night.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if it's just a matter of, we had an amazing location and I love the hub and it was great. But for the streaming side of things, the acoustics were a little harsh, only because it was so open and wide. And because we were working off a Wi-Fi, there was a buffering issue.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of research into the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi, as you would say. And it's provided by a tenant in the Chicago building. So it was when I lost the internet, when it kicked me off, and I went to go try and figure out where to power cycle, and I couldn't find it. There was a good reason for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and no harm, no foul. It's December. Public Mobile gave me 2 gigs of extra data at the beginning of December. So
amazing.
I'm fine for data for now. So, and it didn't end up eating up too much of my data, I don't think, when I just used my phone as a hub for all that. So, going forward, I would just have to, if I was ever going to plan on something like that again, I would have to just make a, not even trifle with that with that router
Yeah.
because like I can't control that, and
No.
that's just too dangerous when we're live streaming. So
Mhm.
that's one downside for the hub. That's one strike against it. Um, so the next time we do something like this, I'm hearing two takeaways are get a venue that has good, proper internet that we can control,
Yeah.
um, and also bunch the meetings together so they're taken over the course of like um, uh, maybe 2 short days rather than over spread out over the course of a month. Um,
Mhm.
okay. There's some other thoughts, or
Um, I'm just wondering if maybe we can. I also think that the offsite producer
Mhm.
might also be an option where you're not trying to stream so much from one site,
Yeah.
where you're pumping it in through me. I was able to then broadcast on a secured landline,
Hmm.
right? So I
Yeah.
think that, so I mean, that can kind of mitigate a lot of the finding a venue that has stable internet. Um,
Well,
that
mhm. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That being said, I think it's also a matter of finding a venue that has the open accommodations that we can have maybe a Monday evening, a Tuesday afternoon, or even on a weekend.
Oh,
Um,
hardwood.
because oh yeah, okay. Because that I think also might be a bit of a hiccup is a lot of people didn't know where the hub was,
Yeah. Whereas everybody knows where Heartwood is.
right?
The only problem is Heartwood costs money.
Exactly.
Now I'm friends with Greg, but I'm friends with Greg, and I wouldn't want him to
Yeah,
take a hit for me,
right?
when it costs him money to turn the lights and shit on.
Now,
And I doubt we could get away with just passing the hat at the back of the room,
mm,
with
yeah.
with a situation like that. But if and when we ever get to the point where we're organized and stuff, and we have like a business or
Mhm.
two or three, at that point we'll have the money to be able to rent the location for something like that.
Yes.
And if we're doing it on a regular basis, we might be able to work out a deal with Greg where instead of it being $300 for the stage for the night and the sound
Mhm.
man, which we won't need.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm a sound tech or a theater sound tech anyway, so we don't even need a sound
Okay.
dude. We just need a front of house person if, for security reasons, they want someone there to run to make sure that I'm not screwing up their sound system.
Well, and yeah, and Greg, knowing Greg, he might, because he's invested a lot of money into his sound system. He might want to have one of
100%.
his professionals on the
Yes.
soundboard if we
Yeah.
ended up using it. But if we were to use like the other stage, like the side stage, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's got like I mean, it's not an inexpensive soundboard, but the knobs don't move on their own like they do on the other one.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
My other question would be, do we need to have weekly in-person meetings, or could we have monthly in-person meetings where everyone's able to gather in person, and then we can have weekly virtual meetings?
Sure.
Like, streaming is kind of, I don't want to say it's the way to go, but it seems to be the level of convenience where it's easier for people to say, oh yeah, there's that VAWMA meeting at 7 o'clock, boop,
Yeah, we can we
opposed to,
can we can have like we can do like a live Jitsi meeting and then
yeah,
stream that to YouTube with an open invitation for, if you're interested in this and you're local, please join our Jitsi at this link in the
absolutely.
doodly doo. And we can, yeah, I like that idea.
Hmm.
I like the idea of like the mutual aid thing
Hmm.
is kind of like the more I'm looking into mutual aid and stuff, the more I'm trying to figure out, because there's like a fine line between mutual aid and charity.
Yes.
And what I'm thinking is that we don't want to recreate a charity situation. What we want to do is we want to provide because, and the reason being is because charity creates a hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
and that hierarchy comes with like strings and expectations and shame
Yeah.
and all that sort of fun stuff. We're not looking to do that. We're looking to create a community of people just kind of checking in with each other, making sure everybody's okay. And when people aren't okay, doing what we can as a community to come around each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like yet. Like it's a vague idea. It's a wouldn't it be good if? And if I'm being totally honest, it's trying to replace the community that I had when I was neck deep in religion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that one of the now that I've had a number of years to distance myself from that whole part of my life and scoop out a lot of the religious indoctrination, I'm able to kind of take a look back and say, okay, well, what were the good things about all that? And one of
Yeah.
the good things about it was the community networking and
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they proved that you can have people come out from the community to gather at a local place, a building, um, and it can be community funded. It can be community um, directed, even.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just drop all that, funny God talk, then and be clear about what the decision making processes are, and how, and then make sure that everybody has access to be able to be a part of that decision making process. I think that creates for me, the sort of thing that I wish existed and just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, as far as I can tell. And if it does exist, I'm not aware of it. But if you want, yeah, I mean, and I suppose now that I'm thinking about it, I guess local sports teams kind of fill that niche for a lot of people. People get really big into sports. Their arena is their church or their
Yep.
cathedrals and stuff, right?
Yep.
And or the Legion, or the whatever it is. There's their local watering hole, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess to that end, VAWMA is just an intentional expression of saying, hey, why don't we come together as a community to create the spaces where we spend the majority of our day, i.e., work, uh, um, to create those places so that we can control how much time we spend at that place, and how much money we get out of that place. It's just a way of bringing control to us, really,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
splitting it around to all of us. And I guess that's my why. I don't know why I went into this rant, but I feel like I landed on a positive note, so I'm going to land it there.
Yeah. And I think you definitely just struck the nail on the head by saying, like, you want the same sense of community that you got um
Hmm.
when you were following religion, and the same community that people have when they play basketball, they play soccer,
Hmm.
they have that sense of purpose, they have that sense of teamship, or it gives them a release of energy and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for in VAWMA. I'm wondering if the general interest is because it's such a broad vision that it's hard for people to see the scope of.
Hmm.
You know, it's that, oh, well, yeah, you have a sense of community because I'm going to make a hot take here. There's the Lutherans, there's the Catholics, there's the
Hmm.
Jehovah's. Those are individual communities, but they're all under the umbrella of the religion community.
Yeah.
They have a sense of community because they have a sense of spirituality. Then you have sports. You got the football, you have soccer, volleyball, basketball, whoever. You have the community of sports because you are going to whatever practice, you're releasing whatever energies you have. You have a sense of team, and you can resonate with the others, even if it's a different sport. You can still resonate with that sense of integrity. Whereas with VAWMA, it's a community of who,
Hmm.
right? It's such a broad spectrum that I feel that people would be there's interest and people want to be a part of it. They just don't know where they fit
Right.
because there's not a narrowed down enough spectrum of, you know, hey, so we have in VAWMA, we have a bunch of bakers. You love baking cakes, but you can't afford to bake cakes all your life. You don't want to bake cakes all your life. So in VAWMA, we have a group of bakers that are going to make Cupcakes Are Us. And that's what they're going to do. They are going to make cupcakes and they are going to sell them. And you can um, work for Cupcakes R Us on your spare time because you love cooking. You're going to be making cupcakes for your children's birthday party anyway, so here we go. We have Cupcakes R Us is our first business because apparently bakeries are the way to go.
Well,
Um
and to that end,
yeah.
I've often thought that the old store, like the old drive-through front, down at the corner by your street there, right at
Mm,
10th
mhm,
and
mhm.
whatever your intersection is.
Yep.
It started out as an Arby's. I remember when it was built for the very first time, it did not last as an Arby's. It then had some, and had New York fries and Subway in it for the
I
longest time.
know. I'm so angry that I moved here after the New York fries. Like they would
Right?
still be in business if I moved here while they were still here. But anyway, I digress.
I think we could definitely put an Ayers Mendy's bakery in there. We could
Yeah.
get one of their franchise models and
Mhm.
slot it into VAWMA and put it in there. And part of the, I mean, you're right. Part of why, part of I think the reason why people don't feel like they have something to be connected to is that VAWMA is designed to have businesses running in it,
Mhm.
and we don't have any businesses running in it yet. So there's nothing
Mhm.
for people to galvanize around.
Yes.
Um, that was just that thought. I wanted to get it out before I
Yeah.
lost it. Have you
No, for
concluded your
sure.
thought yet?
Yeah, for the most part, it was just, the explanation of, we people need a sense of belonging in order to feel a sense of community.
Yeah.
So if we reverse engineer, we need to funnel in where will people have a sense of belonging.
Yes. And part of my hope, because like I have a business idea that I
Mhm.
really want to do, and that's Flagons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And that would employ anywhere between 6 to a dozen to maybe a couple dozen people if it's running at its peak.
Right.
And which is great, but it's also is a lot of risk. It's food and bar industry in a what is a tourist adjacent town.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Mhm.
have a whole lot of tourist attractions. We would become one, I would imagine. We might become a reason for people to come visit Owen Sound at that point. I would certainly want people to come and check out Flagons and Dragons, but that's a big gamble. So, we want something that is a little bit more less capital intensive to get things going, really.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I don't know what that business is yet. I can speculate, I can guess, and even if I can guess, I'm not too sure I should be the person designing that business. We need to get the people who are going to be doing that business in on the ground floor and start designing that business so that the people who know what they're doing have a say,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And that's not necessarily me for this imagined hypothetical business. Now, I
Mhm.
have thought, gleaning information from what I remember from our special guests, there are three main takeaways. One, the main takeaway that I remember from John McNamara was that the business should be have low capital expenditure, like
Yes.
low overhead, as much as we can. That should be our first business. Kevin said that we need to have an anchor business,
Yes.
and whatever it is, if we're doing the multi-business approach, which I think we are, We want to have at least one core business that solidly makes money on a reliable scale, at a
Hmm.
reliable rate, at a reliable way.
Hmm.
And figuring out what that is important.
Yes.
And then from that, we can then use that as a foundation from which we can then experiment with other businesses that are a little bit more risky, like say Flagons and Dragons. And I'm trying to remember what my takeaway from Nikki's thing was. I believe, as I'm kind of slowly pulling it back from the ether of my memory, the major takeaway I remember from listening from her was that there were consequences for getting political
Mm.
with her businesses and stuff there. And I don't remember if that was from a different podcast of hers that I watched or if that was from her night with us.
I think she did briefly touch on it that there was a the political side started to bleed into her business side where it was just the cost of turnover was just getting too
Yeah,
high and it's like why?
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were in a situation. Oh, that was one of the good takeaways as well. They were in a situation where um, uh, they had their business was um, uh, the warehouse that they were in. The
Yes.
landlord doubled the rent or tripled the
Yes.
rent or something like
Yeah.
that. And that to me spoke volumes. Like whatever it is that we do, we need to make sure that we have either a good 3-year lease at terms that are favorable to us, or
Yeah.
we have like control over our properties so
We
that
own
that
the
doesn't happen.
property, yeah.
Yeah, so that that doesn't happen to us.
Hmm.
Um, which carries its own problems as well. Like there are reasons why people lease and stuff like that because it then becomes a write-off, and
Hmm.
it's less it's not something that you have to take care of anymore. It's something that somebody else takes care of, and that's one
Yeah.
less thing for you to worry about, right? um, and so I think there are pros and cons on either side, and I really am not in a position to know too much about it to make an informed decision right at the moment. So that's definitely one of those things we need to put out into the ether.
Yeah, for sure.
This might be a good time to maybe bring it around to talk about future VAWMA discussion, or VAWMA plans about what we can do.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, let me hear what you have were thinking about in terms of uh, uh, because you reached out to me and said you wanted to be involved in this. So that to me tells me that you've got an idea for this. So what's your idea? Oops.
Oh no, don't be breaking stuff.
Well, that's,
Um,
yeah,
I my idea is to support getting the word out there. I think, in my humble opinion, that might have been one of our, I don't want to call it a downfall, but that might have been one of our miss, is
yes,
that we didn't get the word out there to either, I don't want to say the right people, but enough people.
yeah,
Um,
I would
and
agree with that.
this is also going to be a hot take. I feel like Glassworks crashed our first meeting strictly for to get John Rastakis to come to Owen Sound. They had an agenda.
Maybe,
Um and I think what I wanted to do was to help support get this idea out there. And the more conversation we have, the more thought provoking we can get, and then the more input we can get from the rest of the people out there. Whether it be, some of the feedback, like what is VAWMA? Well, it's a voluntary association for workers and mutual aid. That's a mouthful. Yeah, that's why we call it VAWMA.
yeah,
Right. Maybe it's the name.
yeah,
Maybe we can rebrand ourselves. Maybe to
absolutely.
get the word out there, we have the conversational podcasts or the conversational videos like we have now, where we spitball back and forth, and then as people are saying their ideas, you know what? I do like baking, but I hate having to I don't want to do it for a job because it's my side hustle, or it's a passion project, or
Hmm.
it's something that I like doing, but I don't want to do it full time because I like doing it. Okay, perfect. But I would like to dedicate 4 or 5 hours a week just baking because I do like doing it. And if I can get paid doing what I like to do, then that would be great.
Right.
So we can start to funnel in, maybe one episode will be like, okay, so hypothetically, we want to start a bakery. Where could we start it? What would we need? What's the price of flour? And we literally talk through a business plan of Cupcakes R Us,
Hmm.
and we talk through it, and then that, hoping between our conversation, the chat, if there's anyone watching live streaming, the chat would pipe in and say, no, 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 you're totally off your rocker, because grain is not that much. Grain is actually sold for this much if you buy it from a warehouse at this much. That's all fine and well. That being said, at least, even in negative feedback is still feedback, you know
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I'm not trying to be the Pollyanna. I actually addressed this in my earlier show this morning. But trying to see the positive in every negative can be toxic.
Yeah.
But taking the learning from that negativity, you can see, okay, look, you know what? Maybe we do need to research this more. You know more about this. How about we reach out to you after the show, and you can come talk to us, and you can fill us in on what your experience is in the grain industry,
Yeah. 100%.
right? And
100%.
start filtering the conversation that way.
Yeah.
Because I think the idea was out there. And the feedback I personally was given from some of the people that attended the live streams or the in persons
Oh yes.
is that it was very well presented, but it wasn't detailed enough.
Okay.
There was too many questions. And because
Hmm.
there was so many questions, they didn't know what question to start with. It was a great broad spectrum umbrella idea, perfect. Which then leads me back to, they wanted to be a part of it, but they don't know where they fit in.
Hmm. Okay.
And
So can I just?
unfortunately, with today's mentality, nobody wants to ask questions because they're afraid of, well, what do you, they're afraid of pushback. They're afraid of negative incantation. They're afraid to look stupid. They want to be a part of it, but they don't know where they fit in.
Right. So we need to have somebody who's able to communicate inclusion
Hmm.
first and foremost,
Hmm.
either through body language or through use of language or like framing. Um, and I think having somebody that can draw that out of people is good. I'm not too sure that's me. I think sometimes I'm like I have a fair amount of charisma in terms of being able to
Yeah,
hold an idea together and do a presentation and stuff.
yeah,
But I'm also slightly on the spectrum, and I don't always understand and read people correctly. I've definitely tried to read people, but I don't always get it right.
right. And
And I
that's
don't.
where I feel that I feel like that's where my inclusion would be,
Perfect.
is to, as a transformational life coach, as an executive coach, that's where I feel that that's where my position is, if you want to call it a position, or that's
Mhm.
where my inclusion is in VAWMA, is to make people feel included, to help them find where they belong in VAWMA, if they belong in VAWMA as a dedicated member, or as a worker, or as an idea pitcher, or hey, you know what? Maybe you're just you sit there as an NPC with your hands out until I come over with an apple and say, take this apple over there. Okay.
So yeah, and as I'm thinking about how VAMA is VAMA 3.0, or like I say 3.0, like we were talking about changing the branding before,
Yeah.
and the reality is like what is currently VAMA has been through like several
Right.
brand changes up to this point. And if we need to brand change going forward, then absolutely we look at it. I mean, this idea kind of started out as Flagons and Dragons, which morphed into the 10-100.
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of, if you take the idea behind VAWMA, where you've got businesses and you've got members that work those businesses, and then it's all shared. The 10-100 idea was that we had 10 specific businesses and we had 100 members, and all 100 members were chipping in $100 a month
Yeah.
to, and it was very worked on paper, uh, but very rigid, and required 10 business ideas and 100 members. And then that morphed into the union.coop idea, where I thought that we would get, because union.coop doesn't exist as a domain, at least it didn't a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, why don't we take the idea of forming a union, where instead of starting with 10 businesses and then finding 100 people to fit those 10 business ideas, why don't we start with the people? And once we get the people together, we can figure out what our skill set is. And once we figured out what our skill set is, then we can figure out what business we'll do,
Mm-hmm.
based on the skill set that we have, based on the people that we've attracted.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that idea, we went to union.coop. But union.coop, great idea. I think I like unions. A lot of people don't. And there's been a lot of pushback from the usage of the term union.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate. I think times are changing a little bit. I think there's a lot more people have a lot more favorable response to the idea of a union, which is good. But you never know. That might be an unreasonable stumbling block for some people that will prevent them from being able to even hear what it is that we're trying to do. So after a lot of soul searching and trying to figure out, well, what can I call it that's not going to put people off? And the Voluntary Association for Work and Mutual Aid seemed to describe everything that I wanted to do, and also created a rather nice acronym, which is free in English. Nothing is called a VAWMA, and it's 2 syllables, which is perfect for mimetic memory, memories type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It ends on an A, which is great for rhyming, so you can rhyme it with just anything. So it gets in people's minds, as long as you can associate VAWMA, so long as we can determine from the ground game what people associate with the term VAWMA.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can define that word in English for people going forward. And the best part is it's freely available everywhere at this point. So we don't have to worry about competition. We don't have to worry about coming up with long URLs or anything like that. It's real simple, quick, done.
Yeah.
And so those were the positives for me, is the kind of what I went with the Voluntary Association for Work and Mutual Aid, VAWMA.
Yeah.
As far as pronunciation goes, it's like, VAWMA. I mean, even it all, depending on the font and stuff, it all kind of like folds in and melds together.
Yeah.
The B, the A, the M, the W, all of it together. It's got a lot of potential, I think. But again, if it's too much for people, if it's like too esoteric, if it's not something that they can wrap their brain around, well then, and we need to change it, then that's cool. What do we change it to? What's available?
Right. And that's the really neat thing that I learned through transformational coaching, is the way that our subconscious actually picks up on stuff. Like 97%, 97% of everything we say, our brain doesn't even focus on the words that are said. It's the intonation. It's the flex of our voice, how we present ourselves, and how we present the words that we are saying. It doesn't even have to do with the words. I could sit here and I could talk to you about quantum physics, and you could be interested. Well, let's rewind that for a second. Morgan Freeman. Listen to his voice. He could read the fucking telephone book, and you're going to pay attention because of the sound of his voice. You
It
don't
is very
care,
sing-songy. Yeah.
right? It's doesn't matter what the hell he's talking about. It's just the sound of his voice is soothing, it's calming, and people love it. Um, when you hear other speakers, some of them you will pay attention to what they're saying. But it's the way that they hold themselves, the way they present themselves. If they're open, if they're confident in what they're talking about, then you will have a better chance of believing what they're talking about. If I yell, like, you need to do this because this is going to make you millions of dollars. Whoa, what the fuck, man? That intonation has been mapped on my subconscious that's fear. So I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. I'm going to back away.
It's interesting you bring
Meanwhile,
that up. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you continue.
that's okay. Meanwhile, if I, lean in and actually look at the camera opposed to the screen and I say, you need to do this because this is going to bring you in millions of dollars and it's going to make your life better and it's going to make your life more fulfilled, you have a better chance of listening to me and what I have to say afterwards. Not the words I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that the way that I present it. And it's funny because when we hear of acronyms, a lot of the time acronyms in our head, yes, they will stick, and that's how we think of things, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how to read sheet music. I don't dig the dots, but I can remember from when I was a kid, FACE is all of the spots in between the lines.
Oh, yeah.
Or every good boy deserves fudge
Yeah. I
is
remember that one
all of
too.
the notes on the lines. And so
Yeah.
that's how I can differentiate them. My very intelligent mother just gave me 9 pizzas. That's how I remember the planets, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
So all of these acronyms, they do make sense as long as we can resonate with them. Because unions from our parents' generation, unions were the thing. You wanted to be a part of a union because they saved your ass. They protected you. For us, and by us I mean you and me as in roughly the same age bracket,
Yeah. Yeah.
the union has been replaced by the Ministry of Labor. The Ministry of Labor actually has more pull and you have more protection through the Ministry of Labor than you do through a union. Um, the
And that's because of
unions,
neoliberalism and stuff, right?
right? Unions we have mapped on our subconscious, unions hold our kids accountable. They hold our kids hostage. They are the ones that take most of our tax dollars. Unions will
You
decide.
can take any tax dollars.
I you and I know this.
Yeah. Right.
This is the impressions that people have
Right.
spit
Right.
out when they think about unions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're part of a union, depending if you're part-time, your 3/4 of your paychecks go to union dues for nothing. So if you bring
Right.
home $400 out of your $1,000 paycheck because your union dues are through the fucking roof, that's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. On top of your income tax, on top of your EI and everything else that you need to pay. Union has become a knee-jerk reaction where as soon as you start to say, we're going to form a union, whoa, nope, peace out, I'm done. If you use synonyms like a collective, you
Yeah.
start to get a little bit more of a positive feedback, but you still hear collective bargaining agreement. Oh, well, that means that you're a union. Okay, we're
Yeah.
a collective of people that are choosing to do what's right for us. You have a say because you're a part of this collective. Oh, what do you mean I have a say? So it also has to do with the way that we present it and the language that we use.
I agree. I like the framing of we're bringing democracy to the workplace.
Yes.
If you think of the workplace, we understand democracy in our country.
Hmm.
We live in a country, and we don't live in a dictatorship. We get to vote for who is running the country, and if we don't like the people who are running of the country, then we can vote for somebody else
Yeah.
every couple of years or so. Not a great democracy, but I'll
Well,
take it. It's better than nothing.
exactly.
But when it comes to workplaces, we understand that we don't get to vote on who our boss is. The boss gets to hire or fire us on really could be anything from a whim, that labor protections don't cover. And if we don't have a union, then we're even in a much more precarious situation as to the whims and uh, givings of the owner in that particular situation. And so, like, in a situation like that, all we're suggesting is that instead of everything being under the control of one dictator,
Hmm.
one owner, we spread out control between everybody who's participating in it, and we come up with the rules that we decide that we're going to use, that we're going to figure out how we do this together.
Yeah.
Who decides what, when, and how.
Hmm.
And because I recognize, like, on a day-to-day basis, you're going to need to have somebody whose job it is to actually, if we have a bakery, call up the people where you get flour from and order
Yes.
flour. you know Somebody's going to have to do that, and whether that it's a rotating team of people that do that, whether it's everybody who is a dedicated member takes turns doing that role, or whether they decide that, what, Bob is really good at this role, we should
Yeah.
just make Bob do this all the time because he's happy doing it and he's good at
Yep.
it. And if they want to do that, then we can set that up, and then that just becomes Bob's job,
Hmm.
right, within that co-op then at that point. And but it becomes interesting because we're talking about dealing with, like, large sums of money at some point too, right?
That's right.
And we need to figure out, kinda, like, on one hand, the way VAWMA is set up is that until we get a business that we galvanize around, we don't really need to necessarily answer the question how we're going to organize, because it's going to be different for each business,
That's
and
right.
it's going to be tailor made to each business
Hmm.
as to how they're organized. The only major stipulation is that the workers who created the who create that business in the first place need to leave the back door open to allow future workers of that business who maybe didn't start on the ground floor, maybe come in 20-30 years later, allow them to be able to change what they need to,
Hmm.
as they need to, in order to adapt and survive and thrive in changing economic environments. We just need to make sure that we don't create dinosaurs from the get-go that are unable to change or are immutable. So,
Well, and that kind of brings me to a point that was brought up. I believe it was at the last in-person meeting.
mhm.
Was that there was a question regarding how do you keep democracy happening in a business that once it becomes successful, everyone then decides, oh, well, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. How do you prevent the democracy from becoming a democratic dictatorship? I believe there was a bit of a conversation surrounding that. Do you have any input on how that would
Yeah, we,
happen?
we need to bake into the bylaws of every business that it always needs to be subject to democratic control at the end of the day. So even if you end up in a situation where Bob is really good at ordering the flour, everybody agrees that Bob should be the person to run that aspect of the business.
Hmm.
After, Bob, 5 years, Bob gets a bit of an attitude, or Bob gets a bit of an ego, or
Yeah.
Bob gets a bit of a becomes a bit of a problem for the business. He's not getting the deals that he used to, or he's there needs to be a mechanism in place where the people can come around and say, okay, Bob, it's not working out. The role still is a good role, needs to be fulfilled, but you're not fulfilling it, and we need to get somebody in there who can. No hard feelings. I don't know if there will be hard feelings, and that's something that we're going to have to figure out. But there needs to be a mechanism in place that allows for the members of that business to be able to come in and change what was laid down at the beginning. And I think to do that, we just bake into the way we do business some actually something. I can't remember if it was John McNamara or if it was Nikki. I think it was Nikki. Yes, this is one of the things Nikki said, and that was education was key,
Yes.
like ongoing education. And they discovered that in Mondragon, and I see that in all the literature and stuff that I come
Yeah.
across with regards to these things, is that ongoing engagement with the business and education about, like, not just how the business is doing, but also how to run the business
Yeah.
better, is key to keeping member participation and for the health of the business overall. Um, and so now this is all thinking about things from the aspect of the worker aspect of things, which is good.
Yeah.
Because when it comes time for when we've got a couple of businesses up and running, it should be our workers that are directing those businesses, that are determining how those businesses are run. The flip side to all that is that once you get outside of the individual co-op within VAWMA, then the democratic process becomes a little bit different, where everybody is kind of by default a consumer member of VAWMA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is where I'm at now. I've learned a little bit more about co-op law, about what we can do, what we can't do. So the PIP
Sure.
system doesn't work. That's fine. We don't need the PIP system. We've got patronage. That's
Yeah.
and we don't need the PIP system. We can ask our members. We can bake into our ballots or into our bylaws, I should say. We can bake into that we will, of the reinvestment portion of the surplus, if any is generated, a certain percentage of that has to be directed by popular ballot, according to our members' wishes. So to that, every member can make a proposal for what that part of the surplus can be invested in, and then we have regular meetings throughout the year, quarterly meetings where those ideas can be presented. And that is open to the entire general membership of VAWMA, where members can then make proposals for what we can invest in, what we can do as a VAWMA community. And that's where the things like artists coming up with proposals for, well, I've got a sculpture in me that I want to make. I need this amount of money for materials, and it's going to take this amount of time to do it. And I say, fine, we will cover the cost of materials. We will cover your time. We will pay you to while you're doing it. We'll create a little like grant bursary sort of thing, and then we'll put it to our members, saying, okay, how many people want to support? I don't know, what's our sculptor's name? Michelangelo, and his sculpting project. And then depending on how many members of VAWMA we have at that point, they all get to choose. They'll have a ballot that gets sent out before the end of the year. About 2 months out ahead, where we're asked, okay, we've had 3 quarterly meetings where we've had presentations of what we can, or we've had 4 quarterly meetings at this point. Because the first of the year will, anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, 4 quarterly meetings. The last one would have been sometime in the fall.
Yeah.
And we're now coming up on the year end. We have had these proposals for these different projects, ideas. Which ones do you want to support? And then each person can, just like a multiple choice poll, check off however many boxes apply, and then that just, those boxes just kind of, I think it works. If just divvies out to apportion the surplus that will go to different places. And if one place is like over budget, then it can share its over budget with something that's close to getting its
right. Yeah.
And it all works out in the wash.
Sure.
And hopefully everything that everybody proposes can be covered by our surplus. And if not, better luck next year, and do some politicking, make a presentation at a quarterly meeting, give people a reason to put your project in the box as to something that we should do, that's something that we should support as a community, as VAWMA. But I mean, it's going to take us years to get to that point, where we're got a couple of businesses that are turning that kind of money. We have a base of membership that can vote in something like that. But that's where the democratic participation comes in. So how do I turn that into like a 2-second soundbite?
Right. I think this is where we backstep just a smidge, and we go back to education. you hot take, and I hope this spurs conversation.
Sure.
How many people do we have in the VAWMA Facebook chat?
I can double check, but it's less than a dozen. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
If there's 12 of us, I'll be surprised.
Okay. And I can count, correct me if I'm wrong, I can count 4 people on one hand that actually attended any of these meetings.
Yeah. I was hoping Dan would make an effort to
Mhm.
come out, but alas, you can't lead a horse to water.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of where that's exactly where I'm kind of leading this. You can't lead a horse to water.
Mhm.
Um how do we get the education out there so that people want to learn what we are trying to do? That's kind
So,
of where I started thinking about the podcast that we can share the snot out of on LinkedIn, on
yeah,
Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, all of those places.
yeah,
And then
peer
those
to peer, yeah,
yeah, exactly, right? Because then you have a an audio, but then they can listen to it whenever the heck they want to.
yeah.
Um, I think we need to get education out there to people that don't realize they you don't know what you don't know. And so when people think of co-op right now, they think of maybe the farmers co-op,
Yeah.
or they think of the co-op housing, which 9 times out of 10 are ghettos.
And interestingly enough, are also typically have huge lists of people trying to get into them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So co-op itself doesn't always come with the right inclination or branding itself. The same as the term union, the term co-op also doesn't really resonate well with people, you
Well,
know?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Legally
Mhm.
speaking, if we incorporate as a co-op, we have to identify as a co-op.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally dig it, and that
Like
is
it's like something that legally speaking, we actually have to have that as part of our
yeah,
branding when we officially brand
right.
things.
And
It's like
so
how some companies will be like LL Johnson or
yeah,
something, an LLC or
yeah,
a family company or something like that. We
yeah,
would
yeah.
have to be like VAWMA, a co-op.
Right. And that's the thing. When you look at Glassworks, where did the name what does the name Glassworks resonate with that co-op?
Oh, because the original site that they had looked at was right on the old PPG plant, which was, of course, Pittsburgh Glassworks, plate glass, the glass plant, the Glassworks. So they were going to be the Glasswork Cooperative.
Right? So it's kind of one of those we need to find a brand that resonates with people, that gets them asking the question, "Oh, what this resonates with me. I want to learn more." And then they find out, "Oh, this is a co-op that has a oh, it's a co-op, it's a bakery. Oh, it works the same as a farm co-op. It's not a housing co-op. Perfect. It's not a ghetto. I'm not going to get shanked when I go into the parking lot. That's
Nope.
fantastic.
No, and it's
Let's go take a look."
yeah. I mean, technically speaking, we could like there are 4 different kinds of legal distinctions for different cooperatives. We would be a multi-stakeholder cooperative that would have a consumer class and a worker class
Yeah.
within our cooperative. And so I would imagine by the time we get up and functional, like I keep coming back to the idea that at some point we're gonna try and take on Walmart and Amazon and get a department store of some
Yeah.
sort, or a grocery store or something that just provides the basics needs to our community in the
Yep.
community. And whether we do that in Owen Sound or whether we do that in Wyerton or hell, we'll do it over in Cape Croker or Niashiming, I should say,
Yeah.
or in up in Lion's Head. Or in Tobermory, wherever it is that we decide to put in these businesses, we'll do it with an eye to selling, distributing, getting members to join in that local community, with the idea that, and I think we can do this. I've been looking through the law to see if there are laws against this sort of thing, but I don't think there are. So I think we can incentivize membership. So we can say, members get like a 5% discount.
Perfect.
And so then it's $25 a month to sign up, $300 a year, and you become a part member owner of the cooperative then at that point. And every time you buy at the local VAWMA department store, then you, depending on how much you buy, you'll get more money back at the end of the year, because your patronage as a consumer member is calculated based on how much product you purchase from us.
Yeah, so it's like a Costco card, except you have a co-op card.
Better than Costco, because Costco doesn't give you a share of the profits at the end of the year.
Exactly. But that's the way that it's pitched. Is who doesn't remember Costco? You had to have a Costco membership. You paid $50 a month for the Costco card. That allowed you to go shop at Costco for a discount for wholesale items.
Yeah.
And then you got your discount when you left. To your point, they didn't give you a chunk of the profit at the end, but we do. So think of it. If you pay your membership and you go shopping at all of the co-op businesses, show your membership card, not only do you save money, but you get money at the end of the year.
Yes.
That is the
okay.
The live stream only lasts for 70 minutes. I noticed that.
Okay, well that makes sense then, because we're right at the 70-minute mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know for future.
After 70 minutes, that's where we put our intermission, or before that.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think step one, honestly, I think we need, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't envision a hierarchy. I envision roles and responsibilities.
Yep.
We need more than you and I.
Absolutely.
We need another person to help spread the word, whether that be another business partner, whether that be someone who already owns a business that wants to get in on this, or someone who wants to start a business that we can help.
Yeah.
Build a business plan, build something. And so I feel that's where the podcasts and the web conversations like we're doing right now, I think that's where this would come into play. So like episode 1, maybe we use this as episode 1, where it's literally just you and I doing a sit and talk, bouncing ideas back and forth of, hey, so this is what happened with VAWMA. This is our feedback that we got. This is how, things progress. This is what we're thinking of. The next episode is, hey, so we've been thinking, and hypothetically, let's build a business plan for a bakery. This is how it would run. This is how much money we would need, because this is the cost of flour for 60 days.
Ooh. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just have an idea.
Yeah, do it.
Business idea. PSWs, or like home nursing, home care.
Yep.
The upfront capital is very, very low. You're paying for expertise, and you're paying to get that expertise to where they need to be, and then you're paying for medical supplies, which are covered by the government. Right.
Okay.
So we could create like a Victorian Order of Nurses, only VAWMA, but VAWMA Order of Nurses, the VON counterpart.
Yeah.
We won't be able to do that, but
yeah. Something flavored.
Yeah. Same idea. And then we just make the nurses that are a part of it, we have them become dedicated members. So we'll figure out, we need to get a couple of nurses and admin types, people who know what's involved in talking to the government, know what's involved with becoming licensed in this particular field. And then we can just start reaching out to people that are currently like in VON or dissatisfied with it.
Yeah.
But like their job, but don't like their work, or like their work, but don't like their job, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't like the management, really. And just say, well, one, you can work for us. We'll match whatever. We won't even match. We'll make sure that you're paid the the wage that is due to somebody in your position. You know, we're not going to lowball you. We're not going to pay you $18 an hour. You know, we'll pay you like what's fair compensation. And we'll figure out what that is based through our process of our internal unionization process. So, you know, we'll all figure what that is together as we come up with this business idea. Anyway, I'm getting lost in the weeds. Point of the matter is, it's human people and medical supplies, which I believe a large part are covered by the government anyway. So, yeah.
Amazing.
That might be a good business for us to start into or to look into getting started. Seeing if there's anybody we know in the PSW field or the nursing field, the PRN, RPN field that or RN field that would be interested in doing home care for as part of a community network of working with other nurses and stuff, and then sharing the profits, really. Yeah, the surplus, right?
And that's kind of the thing, is that we need to get the word out there in a way that people can either hear it at their own leisure, they can hear it and or see it at a time that's convenient for them, because unfortunately today's society is all about them.
True. So,
yeah.
Twitch. Do you know if we can stream from Jitsi straight to Twitch?
We cannot.
Boo. I was going to say, because what we should do is we should use a medium like Jitsi to then stream to something like Twitch, which has really good audience interaction and streaming capabilities, and then take the VOD from the Twitch stream and then upload it to VAWMA. Because I think YouTube is superior in terms of its ability for people to just pick up and watch and listen to on their own free time and in their own particular way. Especially if they have a premium subscription and you got a mobile device. Like YouTube is pretty much all I use, for streaming stuff at this point. Because you don't need to have your screen on. You just play whatever it is you're listening to, and the screen goes off, and it's like it's the podcast without any of the Apple.
Right.
But so I wonder then if we could stream using OBS and Discord. Or should we just drop Twitch altogether and just stream to YouTube?
So this morning I was streaming on Twitch and on YouTube.
Okay.
I got 0 views on Twitch, but then it was brought to my attention that there was an issue broadcasting on Twitch, and there was a lot of people who couldn't broadcast on Twitch. The only downside is that with Twitch, if we hit our goals of having like 100 people watching our streams, we cannot stream on Twitch and on YouTube.
I thought that only applied to whatever the Twitch equivalent of verified users were, like people who like agreed to.
Yeah, so if you hit a certain part. So the terms and I was reading the terms and conditions yesterday, and as soon as you hit a certain level of Twitch subscribers, you automatically become an affiliate.
That's the word. Thank you.
Yes. You automatically become an affiliate once you hit certain people, and so once you hit that affiliate, then you can no longer dual stream on Twitch and YouTube at the same time.
Which again, interesting. And the other flip side to that is, like, how many people in the Grey Bruce who are potential targets are going to use Twitch over YouTube anyways, right? Right. So, okay. All right. Scratch the Twitch idea. But here's why I'm still thinking Twitch.
Yeah.
It's because Twitch has the potential for us to reach people outside of the Grey Bruce.
Yeah.
Which, while we're developing this idea, might help get us more expert voices coming to our stream to chime in or criticize, if you will. Um, uh, and it also, which increases our potential for knowledge,
Hmm.
which I'm hungry for. The flip side to that is that it also increases the potential for trolls,
Hmm.
which I'm not particularly hungry for.
Well,
Um, but I do know that if we did start a Twitch thing, um, and we did a regular sort of thing, there are people out there that are a part of Twitch that would be interested in what we're doing. Like people who are part of the surf stream would probably watch like an hour long discussion, an hour and a half long discussion about, you know, developing a cooperative from the grounds up,
hmm,
you know, developing bylaws and stuff like that. And so part of what I had envisioned for what we could do is like each be like a weekly sort of thing, at least weekly to begin. Do it on a Tuesday,
yeah,
and do it before any of the other major content producers that whose audience might be interested in what we're doing,
yeah.
before they start streaming or after they stop streaming, I should say. Um, then we can potentially get their audience, right? And that I don't know that we're ever going to become an affiliate per se, and that'd be a really nice problem to have. I find it interesting that it's automatic. There's no opt out clause, or there's
Yeah.
no uh, sort of have our cake and eat it too, like sort
Yeah.
of the dealio. Um, and even then, I'm not so sure like that it automatically gives you that, because like I know of a couple of like Vosh, for example, is a streamer who I regularly watch,
Hmm.
connect with, and he will simultaneously stream on both YouTube and uh, Twitch from time to time. And he definitely has more than 100 subscribers, but he has opted to not become an affiliate with Twitch on account of Twitch's banned him numerous times.
Oh, so then
He just doesn't want to have.
he wouldn't
Yeah,
be gaining any of the monetary value if anyone's actually subscribing.
correct. And um, I don't know what we would do if we ended up getting monetary value. Like if we got enough subscriptions from Twitch that we
Hmm.
started getting income from it,
Hmm.
like as an affiliate. That would be a nice problem to have, I think. So probably not something we need to worry about. But in the event that we
Granted,
do,
but why wouldn't it be able to just go into our
the
marketing
coffers. Yeah,
pot? Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well, that's
mean,
yeah. Then at that point, we would need to incorporate and actually form a corporation for that money to go into, so that it could be tracked and taxed and all that fun
and
stuff.
so you can also use it as a shameless self-promotion. Like, hey, so we have a Twitch channel that we're constantly talking on. If
Yep.
you want to get your business seen, then pop onto our conversation on Tuesday or whatever,
Hmm.
and you're going to be seen by the entire Twitch community. Not to mention, if you have friends, I have friends that are Twitch streamers, we get rated by 1,000 people. Motherfuck,
Yep.
right? But that being
Which
said,
could
I
happen
mean,
in the event that like
sure.
the surfs or something has a really good stream, or
Exactly.
Wasabi.
So, I mean, who's to say that we can't use Twitch broadcasting as a marketing spot?
Yeah,
Why can't we do both? We do Twitch
yeah.
on Mondays or Tuesdays. We do YouTube on the day off of whatever we do Twitch.
Well, and regardless of which one we platform, I still think we should take the whatever podcast we create on Twitch and put it up to YouTube, because I think
Yeah,
that's the superior VOD platform.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think that we might be able to utilize there is and again, this is 100% linguistics and subconscious. When you look at Twitch, how many I don't want to call seniors. I don't want to get into the silver
No, yeah, we're
tsunami.
not going to get seniors on Twitch.
No, exactly. Are we going to get seniors on YouTube?
More likely,
Right?
yeah.
Are we
And
going
and
to are we going to get the 20 or 30-year-olds on YouTube?
less likely, more likely on Twitch.
Exactly. So, if we want to cast our net, not only can we broadcast on Twitch with a certain level of stream quality using certain language
Yeah,
that the verbiage resonates with the 20 to 40-year-olds, right?
yeah.
Then we have the Twitch community. We use it as a marketing tool. We have it, hey, we got the owner and proprietor of Cupcakes R Us coming on next week. Come check them out. They're located here. We have them, hey, so how's your business going? Good. We're featuring this kind of cupcake. We have cakes that you can custom order, blah 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 blah. They
And
are
I think
now being exposed to the entire Twitch community. The next day, we focus on YouTube, where we use the verbiage that resonates with the silver tsunami, the verbiage that resonates with those people who are more apt to be using YouTube instead.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. I was thinking like we just do it all in one place, get a general message that hits everybody, and then just split it up between YouTube and when it's all done. But what you're saying is we use Twitch to reach a Twitch audience, maybe even use Twitch to create content for the
Yeah.
for the silver tsunami, as you call them. I think
Yeah.
that's delightful. Um, and then post it to YouTube, and then use the VAWMA channel as the reciprocatory for the content that we create. Okay, I can see that. Because like one of the other things I was thinking is like I'm taking a course right at the moment through the Pollinators of Change network.
Huh.
I don't know if you've heard of them before, but they're pretty awesome.
No.
I'll have to send you some links. They've just started this course here, and they had a bursary to help cover people on ODSB, which I am. So I was able to get a full scholarship for this course. So
That's awesome.
and it's all about how to start one of their co-ops within their network, but it doesn't have to be one of their things there. So
Sure.
I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to learn as much as I can about cooperatives using the things that they've given so far. And I think I'm definitely getting my money's worth so far, seeing as
That's awesome.
yeah. But it's shoot, what did I go into all that?
Marketing with different audiences.
Well, I think we definitely should. That's a good idea. So, like you said, yeah, like you said, like focusing on the Twitch crowd, getting our 20 to 30s and people outside of the Grey Bruce, right?
Yes.
And like that's it's going to be a balancing act between and so I think maybe that's how we should brand it. Is we should brand this as this is a local podcast, or a couple of people trying to figure out how to organize locally, publicly, right?
And that's 100%. Like it can literally be the ride that we're taking on how to build a co-op for the ground up, and you can experience this is what we've done, this is how we've started, this is what we're going to try and do, this is our action plan for the next week, and we'll find out what's happening.
And there's our format right there. You know, we so we take an hour. The first little top of the hour we say hello, you know, then we do brief little talk about you know what we're going to be talking about for the day, and then start off, we do quick review as to what our action plans were from the previous episode, and we talk about we do a report. Okay, well, this is what happened, you know. This is what happened with those action plans, and then we from there move into the business of the week, what it is that we want to talk about. Something that a different aspect about VAWMA. The mutual aid aspect, the business aspect, the worker aspect, the union aspect, the dividend aspect, patronage, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, flavor of the week.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about. We can talk about this for years.
Never short of content.
And we can just talk about, like, okay, well, based on all the other stuff that we've been doing, this is what we're dealing with this week, so here are the next action plans, and that's
Yeah.
what we end on, right? Like you say, we end on the action plan for the follow-up for the next week, and then that's an hour easily done.
Right? And we can have Rebecca come on and talk about the bylaws if she
Right,
wants
I
to.
would love to
You
have
know,
her.
she doesn't, and that's the thing. She doesn't even need to have her camera active if she doesn't want to. She can just
Right,
be the R or upload a super cool picture of herself, and she can just sit.
yeah, 100%.
And she can answer questions that we have that we've already pre-generated. Like I think that's the biggest thing is education. People
Yeah,
don't know what they don't know. Um,
100%.
and if we can educate them, then we can get the buy-in. Once we get the buy-in, then we can start looking at a roles and responsibilities, as
Yeah,
in none of us is telling anybody what to do, but there needs to be a leader. Just like the democratic country, there is a leader. Whether that be James, whether that be me, whether that be Rebecca, whether that be Joey Joe Jr. Shabadoo,
right.
someone is then elected as the voice of VAWMA, for lack of a better term, that gets the message out there, that helps people do what they need to do. And maybe we do more virtual meetings and more virtual aspects of things
Hmm.
than in person, strictly because in person seems to be so last year, like, oh my god, nobody gets together since COVID.
So
And I find it, even if we want to do in person, maybe limit it to once a month opposed to,
yeah,
4 times a month, because it might be easier to get uh I don't want to say participation. It might be easier to get participation once a month than every week.
still, I love definitely the every week thing. I think what I would. Maybe this is just because I was raised going to church every single week. There's like something about that weekly coming together, which seems to be really good at creating communities that stand the test of time.
And
Uh,
maybe we can grow into that. Maybe we'll start
yeah,
with once a month.
sure,
And
sure, sure, sure.
then, oh, hey, you know what? Let's get this going. Maybe that's where someone else picks up and says, "Hey, you know what? I want to do a presentation of my business pitch," or somebody wants to lead a communal something or other. Then they can start a every other week,
Yeah,
and then someone else might want to lead a group on something. Here you go. Like, it doesn't
right.
always necessarily have to be, once a month might be like VAMA. This is everything we need to discuss. This is an air quotes mandatory show up. Um, and then
Most-
each week progressively, maybe someone else who is the overseer of business bylaw. Maybe Rebecca hosts a meeting once a month, where she
right.
goes into the bylaws and, hey, this is a bylaw that we need to put in place. This is your chance to say if it was yay or nay. Maybe I do a business coaching where, hey, so here we are, how your business is going. Do you have any networking problems? Do you have any business questions? Do you want to learn how to grow? What do you need? And then maybe, like, as we grow, that's when we start to expand our in-person meetings. But for the beginning, we just have a once a month in person. The
Yeah,
rest are all done virtual until we can get that community. Because
I
without a
like that. Yeah,
community,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you need to build the community before you can have the community.
100%. And it's that tension between build it and they will come, and
Yes.
like having people to actually show up for your event to justify
Yes.
the expense, right?
Yes.
And which is why something like the hub is really nice on one hand,
Hmm.
because like it's you know tossing in a hat, pass it around, and Anne's
Yeah.
happy to get whatever.
Yeah.
Um, some nights it was a couple of quarters, because that's all I had in my pocket.
Right? Yeah.
uh, um, but and to that end, like I can definitely see like things. I would still almost want to, like, if we did have like the once a month sort of in person sort of thing, I would want to make that the sort of like a mutual aid check-in gathering sort of thing. And like seriously, like the more I think about it, the more it's like, yeah, let's bring guitars, let's have an open mic, let's
Yeah.
like bring cribbage boards and like board games, and let's play
That
D&D.
legitimately, that is the community night.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
part of our mutual aid.
Yeah.
We take a moment where we check in with everybody, just make sure everybody's okay, and once we've done that, then we break out the deck of cards, break out the guitars, let's have a potluck, let's
Yeah.
let's remember that as much as we're here to work hard together, we're also here to play together,
That's right.
and celebrate that. We're we are evolved creatures that evolved to play together, to tell each other stories, to
Yeah.
have community, and like so much of that has been, I feel, taken from us since the Thatcher and Reagan and Mulrooney years, right? But anyway, learning from Nikki, try not to make things too political. And because people don't like that, they've been inoculated against the things that'll bring their freedom, really.
Yeah.
Emancipate them from their wage slavery.
And that's the thing, is that when we are at a point of change in our life, that's when our subconscious is being remapped, and that's when we feel uncomfortable, and our fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response kick in. So as soon as we feel uncomfortable, we're going to run away from whatever the fuck is making us feel uncomfortable. Meanwhile, that feeling of uncomfortable is just our unconscious mind remapping.
Yes.
And if
neuroplasticity.
That's it. And if we can get people to, understand that, yeah, this might feel uncomfortable right now, but give it a day, and you're going to realize that this is the best thing you've ever done. Oh boy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, again, and I always go back to this, people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
So they don't know there's another way, because this is the only way they've ever been shown.
So yeah, I like that format. I think we should start streaming to Twitch. Do we want to do it? Tomorrow's probably too soon, isn't it?
I think so, only because who's going to stream?
I would probably. Well, I'd pull up OBS. I have not the greatest upstream connection. What's your upstream?
Oh, I don't know. Something.
Speedtest.net. Here we go.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. Speedtest.ukla. Hold on. I just put in speedtest in Google and seeing what comes up. Speedtest.net. Here we are.
Run speed test.
Oh, my downstream is pretty good.
I'm averaging 300 down.
Oh, you have a much nicer internet than I do.
And 30. So overall, 311 is my average download, and 30.3 is my upload.
Okay, my download is 30, which is about what it should be, and my upload is also 27.
Okay.
Which is more than I thought it would be.
There we go.
Yeah, I thought it would be 10, but I'll take 30.
Amazing.
So we're 27. So we're about looking at the same there. Now, my question to you is, how reliable is your internet?
My desktop is hardlined.
Yeah, but does your internet go down and
No.
regular? Okay, so then I think if we're going to stream it, we should probably stream it from your rig because my internet Wi-Fi is notorious for having issues,
Okay.
for lack of a better term. So yeah, let's when we stream, we should stream to Twitch. So the next thing we should do is we should make a Twitch channel.
Yes.
Why don't I'll make that, and I've already got one Twitch account. I'll make another account. Oh, look, my brother is playing. No, my brother was playing. He is not playing yet. It's too
Oh,
early
no.
to stream today. Uh, yeah, my brother is Southpaw Virtual on
Ah.
Twitch, also affectionately known as Skewed.
Yes. Okay.
Or Andy in Discord in some places. I'm not too sure if he's Skewed or Andy in VAWMA,
I think he's
but
skewed in VAWMA.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
So and he's captured the market on Twitch for left-handed virtual reality game streamers.
Nice.
So he's Southpaw Virtual, and
Cool.
yeah, because like VR is different when you're left-handed.
Yeah, no doubt.
You have to do a lot. So he does like little tutorial how-to videos of like, okay, so this is what you need to do when you're left-handed. This is how you do it. This is what the forums are saying. So this is me synthesizing whatever the forum said in the long post, and I'm giving it to you now in content form.
Wow.
So it's
That's
fun.
super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think tomorrow might be a little quick only because I would like to build some transitions and that kind of stuff. And figure out how to stream 2 streams into one broadcast. I believe there is a co-host feature, but I'm not too sure how that works.
I believe you're correct. I'm just looking at some of the things here now. Video producer. Let's see what that does. Ooh, stream manager. Here we go. I wonder if I can. Video producer. VOD storage settings are changing on September 1st. This is why we need to make sure that we upload and create things. Oh, that was the other thing. If we stream at your end, we can also record using OBS, so that we can then take what OBS records, edit it if we need to, and then upload it to YouTube.
Sure, absolutely.
So the question is, do you have hard drive space for stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. And in the future, if and when this ever starts generating, because the next thing, of course, is that we can create Patreon, and as we reach out to the Twitch community, YouTube community, we ask people if they would like to support what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they can support us via Patreon.
Well, and that's the thing, is that the one trick with Patreons is that you need to be releasing content at a decent rate so that they feel that whatever money they're putting in is worth it.
Yeah, so like after a month or two of streaming our content and like building up stuff on YouTube,
Yeah.
We'll have a sense and a feel as to like whether or not we've got forward momentum, whether or not we're cultivating an audience, whether or not we're actually scratching a niche that people have, or whether we're just screaming into the void. And at that point, we'll, if we have followers and if we have people, viewing our content, then maybe we can create a Patreon account and see where that goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with the Patreon, you can release exclusive content that is strictly for the patrons.
Yep.
So whether that be like,
you hear about it all the time,
right? Maybe it's one-on-one business coaching. Maybe it is your name in whatever our business flag would be, or maybe it's free advertising, or you know something
Yeah,
that gives at least their money back plus a little bit more. um have like the basic marketing ploy is you have three tiers. One is your skeleton base bones. The second is your one that you would pay for all of the content plus a smidge. And then your highest tier is the one that you would pay the maximum amount for, and you are spending more time with that clientele than you are with anybody else. Um, Basically, what you do is you build the two outlying programs to make the middle program the one that everybody floats to.
hold on, I gap there for a second.
That's okay.
Give me the last 30 seconds if you can.
That's okay. Yeah. So you have the first level program, the first level Patreon. Your
Yep,
entry is
yep,
cheap, bare bones skeleton.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Your second level, what you would pay for the amount of content plus a little bit more content than you would give. And then your third package is the most expensive for everything and anything you own.
Yeah,
The two on the outsides are not enough, way too much, but you find Goldilocks in the center. This
sure,
is
sure,
where
sure.
all your patrons, that's where you want all the patrons to go. So that's where you put all of your key stuff, everything that you want to sell, everything that you want to pitch goes in the center, and that's where your middle Patreon level would be. Ideally, probably about $25 a month is what people consider the ideal Patreon.
So that's one way of going about it, right? And that's
Yeah.
if we wanted to make a go of it using Patreon. I
Yeah.
think that would be the way to do it. If Patreon's sort of like an add-on, sort of like in addition to, like, if you want to support what we're doing, this is the best way to do it. Support us through Patreon, and do have like a perk for the Patreon subscribers.
Yeah.
Um, uh, uh, what that perk is, I'm not too sure. Um, the only thing I'm sure there's a balance between the two, because like as I'm thinking about it, and as I'm looking at my cooperative course, and just the sheer amount of
Yeah.
time that's going into it, and like the amount of time that went into setting up the VAWMA events. Now,
Yeah.
streaming, I think, is going to be a lot easier, because I think between you and me, between your ability to organize and keep on track, pardon me, with the and applying like the action skills and the action plans and
Yeah.
stuff like that, bringing it back to that sort of thing. I have a tendency to ramble. Just give me a topic, ask me a question, and I will talk about it for 5 minutes easy.
Right.
And but I think we can easily create content. Is the point I was going on for that?
Yeah.
Why? Um, Sorry, I need to go get some
No,
breakfast here at some point too,
absolutely. Well, I mean, we've almost been at it for 2 hours, so I
which
think
which is a lot. So thank you for your time.
hey, thank you. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks that we've been able to digest the the outcomes of VAWMA, and where the 4 weeks of meetings kind of came to a spearhead, and really think
Mhm.
about the correction of errors or whatnot. And yeah, I think um you had your kids last week, so you're open through the day Thursday and Friday, right?
Not Thursday. Like then my kids will be in school, so
Right,
knock
right,
on
right.
wood.
Yeah, yeah.
So I should be available during the day on Thursday, and same deal on Friday.
Okay.
I will be starting the day at the house, assuming the kids are at school. Knock on
Sure.
wood. If any of
Sure.
them are home from school, I'll probably be there watching them. Which it's still fine. I can have a meeting while they're on their.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it would just be a quick check-in of, all right, is everything still looking good for do you want to launch on Tuesday?
Well, yeah. Let's put a potential start date. Rather than doing. Uh, I'm just looking at Twitch right now, and I'm just trying to
Mhm.
figure out how I can add in people. into my current. So, long story at least short is that after we're done here, I'm going to be exploring Twitch for the next couple hours,
Sure.
and Google searching stuff, talking to my brother before he starts streaming to see
Sure.
what he knows about all this stuff, to see if we can create, if I have to create a new account that both of us have access to, or if we can use my existing account and just brand it as VAWMA,
Yeah.
sort of thing there. Lots of things to figure out because maybe I want to keep my Shameth account separate from VAWMA, sort of thing.
I would.
So, yeah, definitely. So that's the next thing to figure out. So
So
okay,
why don't we put a pin in the launch date? And what we'll do is we'll do some research over the next week, and maybe on Thursday or Friday, I will get a solid time to see which works better. You and I can connect again. We'll go
yep,
through what we've learned, and then we'll actually pin down a launch date for when we want to start streaming.
sounds good. And as a just to put it out into the ether, why don't we say a potential start date in January for the official launch? That'll give
Okay.
us a nice window, a couple of weeks for us to kind of have a practice and a trial
Sure.
sort of thing, and before we kind of do a live launch where we try to get people to watch us, sort of thing.
And it gives us a couple of weeks to get the word out there as well.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. I like it.
Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, let's connect in again. What did we say? Thursday, Friday? I'm sure we'll talk before then.
Yeah, let me just check my very quick calendar. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do have a meeting at 1 from 1 to 3. Um so maybe Thursday morning or at any point on Friday.
Let's. Yeah. Let's aim for Thursday.
Okay.
I'll be good anytime in the morning after 9:30. I would say
So 10?
10 works.
Thursday 10 a.m. You and me.
Done.
Perfect.
VAWMA check-in. Yeah, I'll just put in. Let's use Jitsi. I'll use the
Absolutely.
Jitsi meeting. Perfect. And I'll add you as well. Hold on. What's
Yay!
your live with advantage? No.
Info
Info.
at yeah.
Live with advantage. Boom. Did I have a Jitsi meeting? I can't tell. Nah, I can't say. Oh, well, we'll just save this for now. VAWMA check-in.
Cool.
Do not send. Boom. It's there. Now let's edit. Oh, look, it created the Jitsi thing in the thingy there. So, okay.
Yay.
So when it happens, we just join and it's all good. Perfect.
Perfect. Love it.
All right.
Awesome.
We'll chat with you later then.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
You too.
It was good seeing the captain there in the background.
Right?
How's Kirk doing?
He's feeling much better.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely. Now it's just, phasing back into life, and of course, it's December and the holidays, so
Yep.
life's gonna life.
Yeah, life will do that. All
Yeah.
righty.
Awesome.
Well, tell Captain I said hi.
Will do.
And tell him that there's life out there, but not as we know it, but or something.
Something along those lines. All right. Take care, friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah, I forgot to stop streaming. I'll just do it from here. Everybody, you're awesome.